to Max Milano Pics. Welcome to my bar, and today we're going to talk about street photography. So street photography is a genre that is very, very classic. You know, you got those amazing photos from the 30s taken with Leicas, all these famous photographers that really created the genre of street photography in the 50s. You've all seen these incredible, beautiful black and white photos, normally using Leicas. And this is a style that I wanted to get into for a long time. When I got started into photography, I started doing mostly wildlife photography with like a 500mm lens and a big DSLR. And I did that for many years. That was my main genre of photography. But lately, I've really been more interested in doing street photography also, because you can do street photography right where you live. You don't have to fly to Mexico, or fly to South Africa, or fly anywhere, go to Alaska to look for wildlife. You can just go out in the street and basically, that's what it's called, street photography, right? You just go out the street and take photos of where you live. Now, luckily I live in San Francisco, California, so it's a great place to go out in the street and look at photos. And so that's what I did. Just went out, random day, to try to capture a little bit of just what life is all about. And here we are to show you some of the photos that I captured out and about in San Francisco. I first wanted to go to the Mission District, which is the original Spanish colonial area of the city that where the first missions, Spanish missions, were founded back when the Spanish first settled in San Francisco. And specifically, I wanted to go into the Churchyard Cemetery. This cemetery is actually featured in the movie Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. And there you actually will see the graves of one of the original alcaldes of San Francisco, also the first Mexican governor. And in general, it's just this beautiful, very small churchyard cemetery with loads of history and loads of ambiance and atmosphere. And when I was there, it was very atmospheric, and I basically tried to capture it the best I could on video and on with a bit of stills and street photography style. So we'll be checking that footage next with the photos that I took there. And then I wanted to go to another classic part of the city, which is what is basically the Little Italy of San Francisco. It's called North Beach, and to capture like a side of North Beach that I guess is very apropos nowadays. A little bit of like the still life side of it, also mixed with like your classic street photography. I was lucky enough to be there during magic hours when the sun was starting to set, and I was able to capture some great black and white photos with like really nice high contrast of like the cafe chairs and some of the buildings. And in particular, this restaurant used to be a very famous restaurant in San Francisco. Very classic, old school Italian-American style restaurant called the Stinkin' Rose, that actually moved away from where it used to be. And but they left everything inside, so I was lucky enough to be able to capture kind of like a still life of this old Italian restaurant that it's just not functional anymore, but just still provides you a great setting for photos. And then as an extra bonus, we're going to do a quick sweep around Sonoma Square. Sonoma Square is just north of San Francisco. It's this beautiful Spanish colonial plaza with a mission and also a presidio where the soldiers used to be. And also it's where the Bear Revolution started, when the locals, the people that came in from the US came in and basically decided to rebel against the Mexican government and declare themselves independent. I'm going to be doing a more in-depth Sonoma Square trip and photographic trip for more street photography, but just a little touch, just so you can see a couple of photos from that. And then the final bonus is I also went down to the beach in Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is this beautiful beach town just south of San Francisco. It's a college town, it's a surfing town, and it's a great opportunity for photos, and not just for street photography, but obviously for wildlife, because you can see sea lions, so we were able to capture some of the sea lions, and also actually try to do street photography but on the beach, which is kind of combining both styles, which is like your classic street photography style with a little bit of wildlife, but if you mix them together, it just you get this kind of different style, which is a little bit of nature, a little bit of street photography at the same time. So there it is. It's all coming up next. So you have San Francisco, then Sonoma Square, and then the beach in Santa Cruz. If you like any of the photos that you see, you can go to Max Milano Pics, and there'll be a blog about them with a little bit of explanation behind each photo. And also, don't be shy, send me a message if you're interested in learning how to process these photos in Lightroom in an artistic way, so that you can express your art through photography and be creative. And also, I wanted to show you a little bit of the gear that I've been using. So like I said before, I normally worked with a 500mm lens and a big Canon R6 DSLR, and that's kind of like the gear that you need to go out and shoot wildlife photography. But it is a cumbersome, quite large piece of kit to carry around in the streets when you're trying to capture people in cafes and things. You want something small. Ideally, the brand that made its name in street photography was obviously Leica, but since I shoot in Canon, I wanted to find a smaller camera that would serve for street photography, and luckily I found this. It's currently discontinued actually, but it doesn't matter if it's discontinued as long as you can still get the lenses and buy the cameras, because as far as I'm concerned, if you want to do street photography, you can't do wrong with Canon EOS M6 Mark II. And the beauty of this camera, it's very small compared to Canon's typical DSLRs. It also has a native lenses, a whole range of beautiful native lenses that surprisingly work really incredibly well, especially for street photography. So when I first got into street photography, I decided to go to Mexico City. And I said, I'm going to go to Mexico City and I'm going to shoot with this small lens, 22mm, which is native lens for this camera. And when I got to Mexico City, the first thing that I realized was, oh my God, if I'm going to capture people with a 22mm, I have to really get in their face, because 22mm it's not super wide, but it's quite decently wide. This camera is what they call a crop sensor. It more or less is basically the same sensor that the old Canon D90, D80 had, which is an amazing sensor. So when you match it with a 22mm lens, you're probably basically shooting around 35mm or so. So it's like shooting a movie. Most movies are shot at 35mm. You have to get quite in your subject's face, and that is the most daunting thing about street photography. When you have a small lens, when you have a wide lens, you really have to get in people's faces, and you have to interact, and you have to kind of make them smile or not or whatever. So I actually found it quite challenging. So I cheated a little bit, and I swapped out this lens for this zoom lens, which is also native for the Canon M2, and it's the 18 to 150. And this lens is surprisingly good. The quality of the photos that come out of this lens is quite good for the price range and for this rig. And the versatility that you get with this lens is great, because You can go from quite wide, super, I don't want to say super wide, but pretty decently wide at 18, all the way to like quasi-zoom that is almost good enough for wildlife photography if the animal's quite close, up at 150. And then you can walk the streets with this camera and really shoot people up close. But then if there's like a building or there's something a little bit that you need to capture a little bit of detail, then you have enough of that reach. And also, you can walk around all day in a city. I've used this lens walking around Mexico City and also walking around in Spain. I had a wonderful session. We'll do a video about that coming up. Wonderful session in Spain in Santiago de Compostela, where it was also golden hour, and I was able to walk around for about an hour or so just through the city and capture amazing photos. And obviously you don't have to change the lenses, because if you need to zoom, you do. If you don't, So highly recommend anyone that is interested in getting into street photography to grab this camera. You can get them quite reasonably priced right now, and especially now that they're discontinued. You can still find them new in Amazon. Obviously you can get them used at KEH, but can't praise this setting enough for street photography. I call it a baby Leica, so don't have to go out and get a $5,000 Leica if you're interested in getting into street photography. You just get this and you're good to go. And talking about Mexico City, my next video is going to talk a little bit more in detail about that, but my photo book about my Mexico City street photography adventure is out. It's available in Amazon already. So it has some great photos that I was able to take when I was down in Mexico City. They have incredible Spanish colonial churches. They have amazing, obviously Aztec, Mexica stuff. I mean, Mexico City is amazing. Next video we'll talk more about that. But if you're interested in street photography, Mexico City, check it out. My book, Life Under the Volcanoes, Mexico City Noir, is available at Amazon. And without further ado, let's go to San Francisco for some street photography, and let me know which photos you like the best and which photos you want to learn how to edit yourself in that similar style. Just leave in the comments and we'll do a video about how to edit photos so that you can express your art. So let's go on a photography safari, San Francisco, California, with a Canon M6 Mark II. Let's go!
In an old California mission graveyard, where four wheels now stand radiant in the light, once radiant draped in the endless night, and now draped. The Vestal Virgin, the Vestal Virgins, pure coral white, they stand quite still, as far as marble white will, they stand quite still. The Virgins, as golden acres bring their will, yet beauty lingers, and kiss the Virgins, they miss the eternal, yet beauty lingers in the light. The Mission Church, whispers in eternal light, of angels lost, the Mission Church, it whispers California's lore, of angels lost the road, in old California, Zorro and Spain, where tales will never wipe away, of El Zorro and Spain, will never wipe away, but only last, old California, wine and Holy Ghost, in Univero's mission, conquest, feed them all wine and Holy Ghost, to Indian children, Univero's mission, teach them feel of earth on pot, to Indian children, to the love of rock, teach them guilt
temps en temps han sortit les llunes que en el dia intueixen les nits evidents. Ja ha guanyat el temps, perdent el temps entre els intents. Han dormit els sols i ja fa temps que haurien d'estar desperts. Dia i nit s'angoixa el temps que es perd, guanyant els anys. No es fa tova la vivència de prendre sempre cops de part. No oblidarem l'essència primària que ens fa ser animals. La pedra que ens entrebanca la tenim entre les mans, la llancem amb la mirada i la perdonem, trepitjant endavant. Som l'equació inexacta que s'equilibra entre catarsis i relativitat. Només espero, amic meu, que l'estima succeeixi en l'equació de cada instant. Que els despertars siguin noves llibertats i el bona nit sigui l'acompanyament en pur estat. Ja passat el temps, es veu el temps passat calmat. Ara dormo sense culpa i em desperto de veritat. Dures són les paraules perquè dura és l'experiència d'assumir que ha estat així. Però no són les paraules les que expliquen la subtil de cada intent.